Hi and welcome to ReaperTV. In this week's video we're going to be checking out the new Waves Audio Scheps Parallel Particles plugin. We're going to try it out on some different tracks, try it out on the master track, see what it sounds like. So let's check it out now. So the Scheps Parallel Particles plugin was developed alongside Andrew Scheps, who's got a fantastic back catalogue of artists he's worked with, including Metallica, Black Sabbath and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So what the plugin does is offers 4 different types of parallel processing that work in very different ways to shape the vitality of the sound. So we can mix them together to give us an overall different kind of sound. We can add sub and air in there to really open things out. We can increase the amount of sub frequencies that have been involved in the sound. There's a whole range of different things that you can do on here, all wrapped up in a very, very simple interface. So let's check it out. Let's start adding this onto some tracks. We'll start with a drum track. We're not going to break it down each individual piece of the drum kit. We're just going to use it on the master drum setup, just to give you an idea of what you're doing, but you can apply this to each individual component throughout your entire track. You can even apply it onto the master as well and mix it up and really get a good combination of different sounds where you can influence every different part of your audio soundscape. But like I said, let's start off by just looking at the interface, seeing how that interacts with the elements that we're working with, and let's see what it sounds like on a drum track to start off with. So I'm going to play back the clean, dry drum track, and then we'll start looking at what this plugin actually offers us. So on their own, this is what the drums sound like. This is an instance of Easy Drummer. I've got no additional EQ or anything applied to this. This is effectively just the drum kit. So let's check it out, listen to what it sounds like. Of Easy Drummer. So let's go through the interface to start off with. You can see that we've got an input and an output level. We've got a level meter. We could also link the two of these together. So if we increase the input, we'll decrease the output to balance those off. But we can, if we want to, just simply uncheck that and they become independent of each other. So together, you can see if I increase the amount of input and we look on the right hand side, the output dips down, and the same if I decrease the input, the output goes down. You can see if I put those back to roughly parity, I can just uncheck that and now they are independent of each other. This level meter effectively has a couple of different stages. Green means there's not enough signal going in it, so we're not going to hear the effect that this Parallel Particles plugin is really going to apply to it. If we start to go up to orange and red, the signal's going a little too hot, so we may find that we're going to start clipping and we're not going to get the nice sound that we want out of it. Obviously, you can test this out. You might find that adding some distortion to the sound that you're working with actually gives it a nice color. But, you know, as a general rule of thumb, we want to kind of keep this in and around the yellow peak. If it goes up into the orange occasionally, that's fine. If it goes into the red, like I say, we might find we start clipping. So I'm going to run that drum signal through it again. I'm just going to adjust this and show you what the level looks like on screen. Around the yellow area, peaking a little bit in the orange, that's fine. So take a look at the interface. You can see we've got 4 different controllers available. We've got the thick, the air, the bite and the sub. The sub also has a frequency slider that allows us to control what frequencies are going to be affected or cut off using the sub frequency or the sub parallel processing. And effectively what these do is apply a range of parallel processing to the track and then mixes it back in with the original source. So by using these, we can adjust various characteristics of the sound. So for example, if we use the A, this focuses on the elusive air frequencies that kind of bring them to the forefront. In other words, it makes the sound more expansive, more bright, as if you've got ambient mics in the room kind of thing. So it opens up and makes it a lot more airy in sound. whereas the sub enriches the sort of subs and sub frequencies. So you can use that to control and improve and sort of enhance the amount of sub frequencies that are being sort of played back. So you can enhance those. And like I say, it mixes this back in with the actual original sound, so you kind of get a mix of the original source material as if you were running a parallel sort of side chain with it, and then you can actually mix the two together. So this is kind of giving you that. And the visual representation we have with these sort of lines going down into this main chamber, that's the amount of the processing that's been applied. So you'll see as I start to increase the thickness, the line starts to get thicker and thicker, just to show the amount of this particular effect that's being applied to the signal. We can also enable and disable that by just simply clicking on the name of any of these individual items. So it's a very simple interface. You literally have half a dozen to 8 controls, and that is it. You've also got some presets which you can load in for different types of instruments or different types of signal chains. So you can see we've got vocals, we've got dull vocals, kicks, overheads, and the whole mix and so on. So we've got those there, and obviously you can save your own chains out. Once you've created an effect that you might want to use on more than one mix, you can save that out and load it back in at any time. So a very simple interface. So let's try it out now. Let's just start introducing some of these different elements in on our drum kit and see how they influence the sound. So we're going to start off by using the thick and the bite, and then we'll take a look at the A and the sub afterwards. And then we'll run a combination of all 4 to get a sound that we kind of like. So let's try those out to start off with, and I'll just run the track through and play them back as we go along. Right, we start to give the characteristics of the drum kit a little bit more life, a little bit more breath, and so they start to sound a little bit more expansive. The thickness adds an extra sort of body to it, whereas the bite kind of brings up those upper harmonic sounds. So you've got the cymbals and the hi-hats and so on. Obviously, we know that it can trick your ears by having something louder, makes it sound better, which is why I was compensating by bringing the output back down to compensate for the increase in volume that the bite and the thickness were applying. So next we're going to take a look at the sub and the A, and for now I'll disable the thick and the bite so we don't have those in the mix as well, and then I'll put those back in afterwards and we'll take a listen to what it's like when we can adjust the combination of all 4 to get a sound that we might like. So let's try that out. And the sub and adjusting the frequency that's been affected, the whole ambience of the drum kit, the hi-hats, the cymbals, the sort of room mic effect was enhanced. It got a lot more expansive, a lot brighter, and by introducing the sub and adjusting the frequency on there, you could see that bringing the frequency up made the kick drum, the low end of the kick drum, really start to come to the forefront. Now obviously you can go a little bit crazy with that by using it at full velocity, but dialing it back a little bit really did bring some punch and some air in there, so your drums really start to come forward in the soundscape. So I'm going to go back now, I'm going to put the thick and the bite back in and adjust things and take a listen to what it sounds like with all four in the mix together. So let's try that out now. So as you can tell, balancing all four of those in there very quickly really does change the sound of the drum kit. Everything starts to become a little bit more airy, a little bit more impactful. So what I'm going to do finally, just to wrap up, is I'm going to put that back into the mix so the guitars and everything are back in there, adjust the output if need be, so we can see what the drums sound like before and after using the Scheps Parallel Particles. So let's try that out now. Okay, so hopefully what you could hear there is that the drums start to come forward a little bit more. Well, that's it on the drums. What we'll do finally is just run this quickly on the bass. We'll try one of the presets, see what that sounds like on the bass, and we'll adjust it to taste, just to get an idea what it's like on a different instrument. So let's check that out now. Okay, so I've got an instance of the Scheps Parallel Particles applied to my bass master. So I'm now going to run it through on that, adjust a few things, and like I say, we're going to test out, we're going to load a preset in. So let's do that first of all. So we'll just come down, load in, we'll choose heavy bass. As you can see now, that sets the thick, air, bite and sub to what it thinks is going to be a good starting point. We'll adjust the input and output first of all, just to make sure that we've got that compensating to get a good hot signal going, or got a good signal going in that's going to start to get some effect on it. So let's do that to start off with. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to tweak this to see what I like as the bass sound. So if we start to introduce some more bite into it, we'll overdrive and push and we'll get a little bit gnarly on the sound of the bass. We can adjust the subs and everything. So let's try that out next. So there we go, that's a demo of the Scheps Parallel Particles plugin from Waves Audio. It's currently on special offer. I think it's around about the $49 instead of $129, which if you're looking for a plugin that does this kind of thing where it allows you to do that parallel processing without having to set up all those side chains and deal with all that kind of stuff, you want more of a quick interface to work with, I definitely recommend it. It does give some great results, works fantastically on drums, good on vocals, and the same with bass. At the moment, I'm still trying to see how I like it working with the guitar tones that I've got, but that's probably me just needing to spend more time with the plugin. Now, would I recommend it? If you're the kind of person that wants to get results quickly, then yes, it's a fantastic plugin, and the fact it's on offer at the moment is worth investing in. At full price, I don't know if I would pay $130 for something like this, as good as it sounds. If you're the kind of person that really likes to get stuck in and control every little aspect of your sound, then I would say this probably isn't for you. You're going to want to go down the route of setting up the side chains and all the different effects that are applied on there yourself. So, to sum up, I would say at the price it is at the moment, and if you like to get quick results, invest your money in it at $130. And if you like to get your hands dirty, then I would say it's probably not for you. If you found this video useful, hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of the new content we add every single week. If you've got any comments or questions on this video or anything else on the channel, again, pop those in the comment section below. We'll read everything you post. Well, until next time, happy mixing.